If everyone could take their seats, please. Okay, we are reconvening tonight's meeting of the CUSD 201 Board of Education, March 10th, 2015. And if we could stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The board did have closed session, so that part of the agenda has been taken care of, and now we'll have public comments. So I have 3 cards here. Kathy Lott.
Good evening. I wanted to take a moment to address the board and thank the board for promoting the need for walls that the referendum would allow to be built at the Westmont High School. As a teacher, I want my students to be actively engaged in all lessons. Students enroll in Spanish to learn to communicate and to talk with other Spanish speakers. Yet the physical structure of my classroom makes reaching these goals through class discussions, team review, and conversationally based activities difficult, if not next to impossible. I ask my students to talk in Spanish, and instead of being happy when they respond loudly or become too enthusiastic, I hush them. To put this into perspective, if I have a class of 28 students, it is possible to have 14 different conversations taking place at one time. That's a nightmare for anyone that has a class next to me. So I plan my lessons around the fact that I have no walls. Another important aspect of my class is Spanish culture. I'd love to play more Spanish music, video clips featuring native speakers. However, that would mean that every room that surrounds me or that is near my classroom is disrupted by the noise my activities generate. So again, I plan my lessons around the fact that I have no walls. You may think that I only hear what is going on in the classroom next door, but that is not the case. On any given day, and depending on the hour, I can hear what's going on in English, social studies, and even math. And I'm certain that they hear Spanish too throughout the day, which for me is fine, but I'm sure it disrupts their classroom as well. Sometimes we simply talk louder to be heard. Sometimes we ask each other to be quiet or to lower the volume. And there have been times when we have to change our plans to accommodate what other teachers are doing, like on days when they test. Personally, I'm waiting for the time when I can plan my lessons according to what is best for my students, not necessarily what is best for the students in the classroom next to mine. So thank you for doing all that you can to inform our community on why the referendum is important and all that it will bring to the schools of our community. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anna Jakubowski, please. Would you please come up? Yes, thank you.
So I am here for the WTA Celebrate Success presentation, but also I just came as a support to echo Kathy's statements since I also teach in an open classroom. I kind of offer a unique perspective since I was a student at Westmont High School, so I know what it's like to be a student in the rooms as well, and it just can be very challenging. There's a large distraction when you can hear what's going on in the other rooms. I mean, obviously students are listening to their teachers, so the teachers' voices can just be really commandeering, which is normal, and so you can hear a lot of what's going on when you're supposed to be doing independent tasks or quiet work. So just came to echo Kathy's statements since we actually teach one classroom away, and I know the Spanish alphabet, so so that's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll bring you back up. Okay, Matthew, and again, I'm really not. Okay, well, why don't you come here and tell us all your name?
Okay. All right, so once again, just want to kind of mirror what Kathy and Anna said with the lack of walls. All of our classrooms are very close to each other. So in AP Psychology, I love playing video clips and incorporating examples from the media, from the news, different things like that. So I always have, my number one complaint with all my students is, Mr. P, can you turn it up? Mr. P, can you turn it up? And my answer is always, sorry, I can't. There's classes around that might be distracted if the volume is too loud. Another really good example from the other day, we had a soft lockdown, And usually that shouldn't be a distraction for the learning environment. We just close the door, continue teaching. With my particular room, there is no door, and one of the walls is a partition that can be moved. So for security reasons, we had to go relocate into a room with a door, and so my lesson was pretty much scrapped for the rest of the time. Other examples too, whenever we have a test, I always have to relocate my students to an alternate room, and even that room is not ideal because the ceilings or the wall still does not go all the way up to the ceilings. So just some examples of how I think the referendum would be a very good, helpful thing for our high school. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, are there any other public comments? If you could come on and just state your name.
Hi, I'm Sarah Smith, and my family's called Westmont home since the summer of 2003. We knew we wanted to relocate from a less desirable neighborhood in Chicago to a safer and more family-friendly town once our first daughter was born in 2001. I feel that choosing Westmont was one of the best decisions we've ever made. Now, almost 12 years and 2 additional children later, here I am, very proud and grateful to be a resident of such a fantastic community and to have the chance to stand and be heard here today. Our youngest daughter will start kindergarten in 2018, but we've had students at Manning since 2007, our eldest having moved on to the junior high 2 years ago, and our middle daughter preparing to begin next year. Throughout those years, I've witnessed our district undergo many changes, including a complete administrative overhaul, and can say with confidence and pride that our schools just keep getting better year after year. Our school board's faced with the arduous task of making decisions that will most benefit the students first, with our community as a whole taking a close second. Not only would I like to say they consistently strive to push our district in the right direction, but I'd like to thank you all personally for your time devoted to such an important issue, and no doubt difficult. These are parents, other long-term residents of our town. Any change will affect them every bit as much as the rest of us. Why would they push for funding that they too will bear the responsible or reasonable tax liability attached to it if they didn't firmly believe these changes were critical to the advancement of 201's learning environment? The upcoming referendum has 3 primary focuses: ensuring all 201 schools are ADA compliant, turning currently partitioned areas into actual closed classrooms, and increasing safety measures in case of potentially preventable emergencies. These are hardly frivolous requests. Between being raised by a father left hemiplegic from a major stroke at 34 and a mother who's worked as an RN for permanently disabled children for more than 30 years, I'm all too familiar with the struggles those with limited mobility face. I can't help but feel that it's a bit narrow-focused to not consider it our responsibility to update our buildings to be adequately handicap accessible. We're not just catering to one student here. We're talking about making our schools accessible to all resident students for years to come, the parents of whom also pay property taxes. How is this not a sound plan? Though Manning and Miller have completely enclosed classrooms, the junior high and high school have many set up using standing wall dividers that do nothing to filter out hallway noise. While some students are able to succeed in spite of high distraction levels, they don't make up the majority. Imagine being a young student who has struggled with staying focused in a classroom with walls and doors that help mute hallway noise, only to move on to a school filled with classrooms where they can hear any and every sound coming from outside the hallway. While they're attempting to focus on a test or pay attention to their teacher or the accuracy of their work. How can it be argued that enclosing all the classrooms is not money well spent? When I began volunteering in my eldest daughter's kindergarten class, upon getting buzzed in through Manning's back entrance, I'd head straight to my daughter's class, ignorantly assuming that since the teacher was expecting me, I didn't need to stop at the office to check in. If I was able to bypass the office and head wherever I wanted to in the school due to the main entrance's layout, what possible opportunity does that give to somebody that has no business being in the school at all, or someone with possibly malicious intent? The junior high is currently the only one of our district schools that physically requires visitors to check in at the office. We have classrooms lacking door locks that can be locked from the inside, relatively minor improvement, but one that can make a world of difference. Now, do I personally consider the horror of having an intruder with harmful or lethal intent entering one of our schools as a great likelihood? No, not really. But I'd be willing to bet that families in Newtown and too many others comfortably assumed the same thing until it was too late. Will having saved a few bucks count for anything if disaster were ever struck and all we're able to say is we could have prevented this but voted against it? And that's what it all comes down to, money. We're putting a price tag on things that ought to be revered as priceless. The opportunity for disabled students to have a school day on par with their non-disabled classmates, providing learning environments with minimal distraction, and perhaps scariest of all, the safety and well-being of our children. If our family, which I'll humbly admit fits into the lower middle class in terms of an economic status, is able to justify the expense we will incur should this referendum pass, I plead that the majority of Westmont will find themselves able to do so as well. Please vote yes for the referendum on April 7th. There's so much more at value at stake than increased property taxes. Thank you all for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other public comments? Could you state your name, please?
Hi, my name is Alana Morano. I'm currently in 7th grade at Westmont Junior High School. I went to Manning for kindergarten through 5th grade, and I'll graduate from the high school in 2020. District 201 is the only school district I know, and based on what I've heard from friends and family that go to school in other places, and what I've experienced for myself, we have really good schools, teachers, and extracurriculars. I'm glad we live where we do and that my sisters and I are lucky enough to go to schools where the teachers support us, challenge us, and really seem to care about whether or not we do well. I can't imagine going to a school where the students aren't considered the most important thing to worry about. But I've heard that there are a lot out there where this is the case. I've seen a lot of signs and flyers about the referendum that Westmont will get another chance to vote on in April. But I've mainly learned about what will happen if it does get passed from my mom. She's told me all about how taxes will go up if this passes. My mom reminds us all the time that she doesn't like spending money on things we don't need. So there's no way she'd support this if it wasn't money well spent. Both my parents care a lot about how my sister and I do in school and whether or not we're safe. It's important to them that we do well in school because they want us to have every chance possible to have good jobs that we actually like once we're grown up. Plus, my mom likes to remind us all the time that our age of school is our job and one worth doing our best at. I've been very lucky that I can usually pay attention to whatever I need to do in order to finish my work, but I still see a huge difference between the classrooms at Manning and the classrooms at the junior high. The main difference is some of our classrooms at the junior high aren't even really rooms. A lot of them don't have real walls or even doors. They're just chalkboards. And we can hear everything that goes on outside our classroom, even if it's one or two people. That can be really distracting. Considering how much more work there is to do in junior high compared to elementary school, and that the expectation of our work, especially in honors classes, is a lot higher and supposed to be done faster than before, getting distracted in class can make it really hard sometimes to stay focused like we need to. Closing off our classrooms will help us be able to pay better attention to our teachers and keep us from making mistakes that we probably wouldn't make if our focus wasn't interrupted so much. I think one of the important things people should remember is that the decision to start changing things now will benefit all future students, like my baby sister, who's 1.5. The changes that can be made if this passes aren't just able to help the kids in school now, but every kid that will go to school in Westmont, even ones not born yet. Ever since kindergarten, and even before then, we've been told that we're the key to the future. That we are just not capable of, but responsible for changing things for the better if we try hard enough, and that we're important. I believe all those things are true, and I think that if other people think they're true too, they'll vote to pass this referendum. Please vote yes for our schools in April. By doing so, you'll be voting in favor of all of us students now and all that follow us. If the future really does lie in our hands like everyone always tells us, it only makes sense to help us become as safe and as smart as possible. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Alana. Are there any other public comments? Okay, we will move on to, thank you, to Celebrate Success, WTA.
Hi, good evening, and thank you for the opportunity to speak to you in the community. The Westmont Teachers Association is here tonight to celebrate success and highlight student and staff achievement in District 201. Tonight, I would like to introduce Anna Jakubowski and Matthew Papalarchik from Westmont High School. Anna has worked in District 201 for 6 years and currently teaches English 9, English 12, and creative writing. She also serves as the Career Day Coordinator. Anna attended Benedictine University, receiving a BA in English Language Literature and a master's from Benedictine as well in Reading and Literacy. Anna has been a homebound tutor for the district for 4 years, teaches ACT prep classes this year, and has taught summer school at Westmont High School. She's been married for 6 years. This school year marks Matt's third at Westmont High School. He currently teaches academic support, English 9, and AP psychology. Previously, he worked exclusively as the academic support coordinator and as a substitute teacher. Matt's passion is to promote student success and motivate students to be the best that they can be, academically and beyond. His goal is to be as active as possible in the school community while getting to know all Westmont students. Please welcome Anna and Matt.
We have handouts.
Okay, so Anna is passing out a handout that we created for you. Anna and I both teach one section of English 9, so it is very important for her and I to collaborate, and I think that we do a pretty good job at that. Anything that we find, any type of resources, we're definitely willing to share them with one another. One of those resources being technology. I think that technology in the classroom is extremely important, especially now. We are really trying to appeal to the 21st century learner. So beyond the classroom, students really need to know how to use technology effectively to help them in the future, not only in the academic sense, but in other senses as well. Technology is, I think, prevalent in everything that we do. We are definitely living in a technology-driven world, and it's only going to get worse in that regard. We stressed something last year called Bring Your Own Device with students. Some students have access to iPads, to smartphones, and I think in the past that was something that a lot of teachers kind of looked at negatively, and immediately once they saw that device, they told the student to put it away, that it was a distraction. But I think a lot of teachers are now trying to use it as a positive motivator for students to allow them to use that device in their classes. So we want to capture their attention, and we want to maintain their interest by allowing them to use something that they so naturally use, usually outside the classroom on their own. So today I'm going to talk about 3 different forms of technology that I implement in my classroom, and Anna implements as well. I'll be talking about Quizlet, Weebly.com, and Shelfari.com. First off, Quizlet, I really like it in my AP psychology class. Initially, I had students create physical vocab note cards for each unit. And this was a very daunting task for a lot of them. I mean, each unit has 20 to 80 terms in it. So creating those physical note cards just takes forever, and they never really have time to actually rehearse the note cards. So I wanted to take away the busy work from them, and I found Quizlet. I upload all of the vocabulary on there ahead of time for them. And then I have actually an assignment for them to do and to go on there and rehearse the terms. Now there's a few different ways that they can rehearse the terms. They can play games using the terms. There is just the traditional flashcard method. There's the learn method, which I like the best. That one, they just have the definition of the term, and then they type in what the word is. So I think that's very useful for them. The thing that I like about Quizlet the most is that students are able to use their device. So if they have an Android, an iPad, an iPhone, any type of smartphone, they're able to download the app. And I tell the kids all the time, I mean, when you're sitting on the bus and you're complaining that you're bored, waiting for your parents to pick you up or something like that, maybe you can't fall asleep at night, take out your phone, you probably have it, you're doing something with it anyway, open up your Quizlet app and just give it 5 minutes, give it 10 minutes. I have found that since I've started utilizing the Quizlet app with my students, their vocabulary test scores have gone way up. They're finally rehearsing those words, and a lot of them, they don't even realize they're rehearsing the words because it's something fun and engaging for them to do. So the next example of technology that I implement is Weebly.com. I think this is a great tool not only for my students, but also for parents. Parents know exactly what is going on in my classroom day to day because I update this blog, and I mean it really is very detailed with every single thing that we do in class, down to the bell ringers, down to the specific activities that we do, future due dates, homework assignments. My students really like it because they no longer have to ask me the next day after an absence for work that they've missed. They don't have to ask me what they missed. They don't have to get extra copies of assignments. I'm actually able to attach everything onto Weebly for them. They can upload it. They can go to the media center during lunch and print it, or they can print it off at home. Also, a lot of video clips that I share in class, students really like them. They want to share them on their own as well. So I just post them on Weebly, and then they're able to share them out that way as well. So there's some screenshots of Weebly. Finally, I like to use Shelfari. In an English class, I think it's a great way for students to publish their work. I want students to be very proud of what they produce. I don't want them to just throw something together the last minute. I want them to create a product that they feel confident showcasing to other people, showing other people. So I think a lot of us might be familiar with kind of Amazon or really any type of shopping that you do. You're always going to get that review. And you read the reviews before you settle on something. So with books, I think there's so many different options for books for students to read. This year we're emphasizing for students to read on their own, do more independent reading on their own. We're moving away from those classroom texts and just having them focus on something they choose to read on their independent time. So with Shelfari, they're able to see reviews from their classmates, they're able to see reviews from really anyone, and they're able to post their own. I make it part of the structure of the book review is that they go through an editing process with me in class, and their final product they post online. So anyone can read what they write on there. And Shelfari is a very, I think, safe environment. Rather than using something like Amazon where it's really open to anyone, Shelfari is more geared towards a classroom setting. And I find that most of the users are either students or teachers, and they're kind of implementing the same things that I do in my class. So those are the few tools I use, and now Anna's going to talk about the few that she uses as well.
Hello. I use Quizlet as well with English 9. The kids like it a lot. It's a lot of fun, and they can get the apps on their phone, which is the best according to them. So I use Google Docs a lot, and this really isn't new to our district. Maybe we've had it around for at least a couple of years, but I wanted to emphasize the collaboration with students that's available because of Google Docs. I'm able to view and edit their work, and a lot of them do turn things in early because they want to get it proofread or they want to have some feedback. And I have switched one of my classes to standards-based grading this year, so I think it's hugely important for me to focus on specific skills, which I can do with Google Docs. And the kids can ask specific questions. They can access it from home. They can access it from their phones. They can access it from school, obviously, and then we have Chromebooks they can use too. So it just makes it a lot easier on them and us for us to give them feedback, that formative feedback that they need. Another thing that I love about Google Docs is there are apps available for your phone where you can actually physically type, or your iPad, and the kids, I could never do this, but they can type like whole papers. It's astonishing, but they do that. So they have apps that go along with your Google Drive account, and you can work on spreadsheets. You can do a presentation similar to PowerPoint called Google Slides, and you can use Google Docs. So there's a word processor there too. That's one of the online tools that I think is great and that aids in communication with our kids. The next one, Class Dojo. This is new this year for a lot of us. A couple of teachers have been using it. Over here on the left side, you can see that's like a sample class. So all of those little icons are for each student in the class. And then right here on the right side, you can see that is where you can assign feedback to the students. So I use this with my English 12 section, which is a project-based learning class. So they are working towards a common goal, and many of them are in like smaller groups. And so a lot of days they're working towards that goal. And this helps us give instantaneous feedback for them. We project it up on the board, and they can see what successes we're noticing and struggles, because they really respond well to that without, they're seniors, so I don't have to go over to them all the time and say, you need to be on task. If I can use this, comes up right on the board, and they know, they have to be on task. So one of the things here, we have helping others, on task, participating, persistence, teamwork, working hard. Those are the kind of things that we give for really structured feedback so they can see, and it goes right up on the board for them. So I can have an app on my phone where I'm not sitting at my computer just watching them work, and I can walk around and facilitate and still be part of those conversations while adding in their points. So that's something that's really been working out really well, and it helps them know what their current level of performance is, in our eyes. The next section there I have is the data from Class Dojo. So on the teacher side, what we love is data, where anything that we can do to interpret and find out. So there I have for the month of February, our feedback is 75% positive, which is great, because ever since we started this, the kids just know. They know to look at it. They know to check and see how we think they're doing, and we can keep track of their points daily, weekly, and monthly. So we usually use this to set goals, and we'll pass out the Excel spreadsheet that this generates, and the kids will see how they've been doing and where they've been lacking, and know that they need to make up the goals in that way. So it's been a really great resource for us. Newsela is a website that offers 5 reading levels. So teachers can use this website and increase understanding of current events. So we can find a topic we want to talk about, and it's an authentic topic where the students aren't afraid to be a part of the conversation because of struggles they're having with comprehension or fluency, because we are able to choose the Lexile level we're going to give them. So all students are reading the same information, it's just presented a little bit differently. So students that have a tougher time, we can kind of give them their Lexile level so they aren't struggling with what the, bigger picture is. Whereas students who have a higher Lexile, they get, a higher reading level, and they're being challenged in that way with new vocabulary, new jargon that maybe they hadn't seen before. So it eliminates students choosing not to read because text is too difficult, and helps kids that are struggling. So I really think it's great. Most all of our English teachers use it on a regular basis. It lines up really nicely with our MAP scores too, so we can interpret that and find out where the kids should be. So those are our technology uses, and we just really appreciate you guys listening to us and sharing them with you. We're going to have lots more, so appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I have a question about
Yeah.
Newsela. Is that a website, or is that something specific for the school?
Yeah, it's a website. You do have to be a member. We have a subscription through the school. So we make we can log in, and then we just choose the articles that we want to focus on. This one here in the picture is the pro-con debate, and it's a really great resource because that helps the kids learn to take a stance on an argument, and they see both sides of it, and then they can provide evidence from the article. So, there's so many skills that we're honing in on with just one article, looking for evidence, annotations, providing a stance, and making it a topic arguable. And sometimes I have had the pro-con articles where I split the kids up and I tell them, you're going to be pro, you're going to be con, and they kind of can debate that way, which is it's a really great exercise for freshmen especially, because they have a lot to say. So it's really great.
Seems like it would be a great, I'll tell you why I'm asking this, but I have a special needs child, and she brought home an article, and it had to do about the Greece bankruptcy situation in Greece, and we were reading through it, and I'm reading it through, and I'm like, the terminology in here and all of that is not going to work at all.
Right.
So I'm trying to paraphrase it in my own words, and make her
Exactly.
understand. But if something like this, where you could
Yeah, you can get an account.
version of Lexile score may really facilitate more independence for her to do that rather than
Definitely.
You know?
Yeah, the least restrictive is what we try to say in schools. And over here, it does say too, I don't know if you can see that, it'll show you the different levels, the maximums at the top, 1150, 1030, 910. So there's also quizzes that are included here. For this particular website, I don't think the quizzes are extremely helpful. A lot of them are a lot of recalling, and we want them to go higher, and more higher level thinking questions. So I can generate questions based on this, but the text is really important because one whole section of map is reading for information, and that's something that they're going to have to be able to do for the rest of their lives. So it's a good skill.
All of the articles on there, they're actually written by the website. They're written by Newsella, but they're all very current. So they add, I don't even know how many per day, but they add a lot of articles. So any type of current events that are happening, it's nice because they write it in the language that's best for the student, so the students can comprehend it, and then you can still differentiate it between the Lexile scores. So I think it's really nice.
And there's different genres. There's, war and money and like all kinds of different things that they talk about, politics and stuff. So it's not the run-of-the-mill that a lot of times they're used to, just something about a book they read. It's really current information that we want them to be a part of and on the conversation, so they can make allusions to other areas too of teaching.
I just have to say thank you very much. I found this presentation absolutely eye-opening. I think this is great. I do love your idea that, with the kids, if they're waiting for a bus or something like that, because as parents, one of the things we talk about is, yes, we'll give you these devices, but we'd like to see more than just, Minecraft or Candy Crush. So I like that idea. That's a really great idea to try to tell them at least 10 minutes on it, and that, like what Joel was saying, I think that's fascinating, because especially as we talk about differentiated learning, that's probably the epitome of it.
Yeah.
So I find this interesting, and I have to say thank you, because this really also shows what the bring your own device is, because I think people think they're just going to all sit in class and chat with each other, but
No.
these are actually useful places that they can go for learning. So
They use them as tools outside the classroom,
Right.
so why should we deny them that in the classroom? They can use it as a resource just as anywhere else.
But I find it interesting that you show us exactly what it is, and like you're showing the feedback, and that I thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
That and kind of along with Skyward, which shows you grades and progress and stuff, having access to their homework assignments and things like that online, so that there's not I lost my folder, I lost this paper, I can't find this, and then they're falling behind in their work, and you don't know what to do as a parent, well, bring it home tomorrow, and then another day goes by.
Right.
So that's very helpful, just to, so much of everything we get is online. Anytime we go to do something as an adult, you're downloading a form, you're filling it out at home or whatever, it seems like more of the classroom should be in the virtual format, instead of relying on something that just gets handed out.
It's becoming very second nature for them.
Yeah.
The kids, they often are, can I look a word up? We're like, yes, please, whatever you like. We try not to act overexcited.
Well, Joel, you brought up a good point, because that's also like, if you're missing something, you don't have to call Billy and hope that he's home and find out what you missed, or, or whatever. If you were out of the classroom for some reason, now you can look and see what the teacher has, what you missed in class or homework or that. So thank you. I think it's...
Thank
It
you.
just seems to make them so much more independent and driven then to do it. If they've got the freedom to do it. This is really very exciting, and it's also cutting edge. I can't imagine that they wouldn't want to be into it.
Yeah, they get really excited about these guys here, and they can't believe the ones I've selected for them. Like, it's just random. I don't know, So that's a huge issue for them.
And all of them are free to use for the students too, so
Yes.
it's really nice. There's no
That's
cost
great.
associated with it.
Right.
Well, this was wonderful. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Thank you so much.
Okay, now we will move on to the consent agenda. Any comments, or?
I only have a concern about the bus contract. And I know there's nothing we can do, we have to do what we have to do, but it seems like a hefty increase that they're...
Yeah, well, and for the SACIT, we're part of the co-op, and part of it is going to be an increase, I think I had in there, somewhere 30, up to 30% or more. But then the low incidence billing, there is going to be a decrease. I just don't know what our zones are. So, and again, there's really not anything we can do. Unfortunately, and we're running into this more and more, and have meetings with, get together with business managers from other districts, and we're all running into the same problems, is that we're being forced out to bid like every 3 years, and somebody comes in and gives kind of a low or a good bid, and then 3 years, they want to come back and raise the rates through the roof, and it forces everybody back out to bid. SACID would have continued with Septran as is. They were fine. Another bus company came and said, we want, because their contract was up and they were doing extensions, we want to bid on this, and so they're forced by law to go out to bid. SACID wasn't looking to go out to bid. They were fine with the contract as is. They were forced to go out to bid, and that company that forced them out to bid did not win the bid because they were not the lowest bidder.
Right.
So, we're at the mercy of laws, rules, regulations, and we're seeing that bus companies are taking advantage of it.
Well, that's unfortunate. Thank you for sharing that, though.
Indeed.
Okay, anything else then on that? Okay, the chair will entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented. Number 1, personnel recommendations. Kelly Ahern, I hope I'm saying that right, special education teacher assistant at Westmont Junior High School. Rick Fink at groundskeeper, and Andrew Slaga, boys soccer coach, Westmont Junior High. Number 2, approval of SACID special education transportation contract. And 3, approval of student tour requests.
So moved.
Second?
Roll call, please, Mrs. McMahon.
Ms. Caparelli?
Yes.
Mrs. Hancock?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Price?
Yes.
Mr. Armstrong?
Yes.
Mrs. Charlton?
Yes. Okay, Illinois Reads event. Quattrone, Ms. Ruth.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for affording us the opportunity to speak to you this evening. My name's Amy Quattrone, and I'm the assistant principal at Westmont Junior High.
I'm Sheila Rowe. I'm the media specialist at Westmont Junior High.
And we are here tonight to give a brief presentation about a literacy event that's coming our way. It's called Illinois Reads. It will be at Westmont High School, April 18th of this year. This is a wonderful opportunity to unify our village and the schools through a literacy initiative and our Small Giant Vision. Mrs. Charlton, Mrs. Hancock, and Mr. Carey have all been very involved in our committee work thus far, and we'd like to recognize them for all of their efforts. So thank you so much, because we really appreciate that. But before we begin our presentation, we'd like to share a video with you that we created in order to ignite enthusiasm about the event. We actually showed it at one of our committee meetings to get everybody really excited and to spread the word. So here we go.
Play again.
Play again. Sorry.
Close it. Sorry, we'll start that again.
We're going to do it again. Oh no, it went away, Sheila. Good thing I have my tech person here.
Yeah.
No.
Busy.
Uh-oh, okay.
No, that's not it. Oh, no. Okay, well, you know what? We'll end with it. How
Yeah, we'll
about
show
that?
you, yeah.
So Sheila will look for it while...
We'll come back to that.
Yes, we'll...
Sorry about that.
We'll show it at the end
Technology.
to generate enthusiasm.
Okay, so a little bit of background. Illinois Reads is a initiative that was started 3 years ago by the Illinois Reading Council, and it was a way to promote reading books by Illinois authors by people across the state of Illinois of all ages, from birth to adult. And they were looking for a community to launch this event, which would provide a blueprint for other communities in the state. And we're very excited to announce that Westmont was chosen for the first site. The Illinois Reading Initiative runs throughout the year, with the culminating event being the Family Literacy Night in November. And our public library will be participating in that, as well as other libraries and schools throughout the state. So essentially, there's one launch event in April that will be held in Westmont this year, and then there will be the Family Literacy Night in November. So it goes from spring to fall.
This event benefits Westmont in 3 ways. The first way is it builds a bridge between the community and the schools. The second is it builds the capacity of readers of all ages from pre-K to adults, and it will also put the spotlight on our community in a way that's never been done before. Tourists from all around the state will be attending the events and potentially visiting for the weekend. Activities planned will include Illinois author book talks, autograph sessions, entertainment such as photo opportunities with storybook characters, story time for the little ones, and even a possibility of famous athletes, but we're not going to tell you who just yet. Concessions will be featured and sold from local Westmont restaurants. Book clubs are also forming throughout the community for all ages in preparation for the exciting day. A committee has formed to plan the event. A group of 25 of us have been meeting, including our fire and police chiefs, Larry Forsberg of the Chamber, Kevin Carey, Superintendent, Trustee Barry, Rotary, Westmont Public Library, and several other community members. Before we end, we'd like to leave you with a sneak peek of our Illinois Reads page and Facebook page, and we hope that you visit these as well and share with others. So this is our Facebook page. And the video is on here, so we can actually stream it from here. So we'll do that now. But you're going to touch it.
Oh, I don't know if that's such a good idea.
You're going to make it.
I didn't do so well last time.
So that's our Facebook page. How do we get out of here, Sheila? We also want to show you the IllinoisReads.org page, and if you scroll down, you will see a block that says Illinois Reads Launch Event. This is actually a link, and when you open it, it takes you to the launch page. This is where we'll update information, we'll put sponsor information on here, anything that we are working towards for the event, sponsors, that kind of thing, that'll all be here. So please check that out. Please let everyone you know about this. It's going to be spectacular. We're going to have people from all over the state here to see how wonderful we are.
Do you have
Great.
the local logo?
The local logo I don't have on here. However, it's going up. We already have requested it to be put up there, but you make a great point because I'd like to thank Sue Ellen from the high school. She is the fine arts, she works in the fine arts department there. She's a teacher. She worked with some of our students who created a logo that incorporated what we are in Westmont with the Illinois Reads logo, and it's going to be used on all of our promotional material. So we'll honor those students at the actual event as well. We're going to have bookmark contests, essay contests for students across the state. There'll be a lot of entertainment. Great.
And
Yes.
what are the sponsorships for?
The sponsorships are for, we are hoping to get a book in each of our students' hands in the district. So we'd like to provide each of them with a book. We'd also like to provide our classrooms with a book to do a read aloud before the event.
And can you just share how many authors so far are scheduled?
Approximately 25 of the Illinois Reads authors will be there.
That's great.
Yeah.
And that's authors from birth to adult.
Yes.
Books that, they've authored books from the ages birth to adult, so it's a very wide variety.
We're having book clubs all throughout the community as well, and so there's one book that's about the 1985 Bears. We're actually flying in the author. He lives in Connecticut now, so he'll be here to talk about the book, and we're having adult book clubs in the community. So look in this page. We're going to advertise where those will be as well.
And the entertainment, again, is that still?
It's still up in the air.
Oh, okay.
We have a few leads.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for going out on a limb and suggesting that Westmont be the launch city. Do you want to share with what was shared at our meeting last week with the woman that came from Illinois Reads, what she heard from another school? Remember what she said about another school, said we're hoping that we can be, I don't remember, we can be as good as Westmont next time or something. What did she, something like that?
So the Illinois Reads chairperson's name is Tammy Potts, and she lives in the area. And so people are learning slowly but surely that Westmont was chosen as the first village to sponsor the launch. And so other places throughout the state are starting to get wind, and so now they want to be the next village chosen to be in the coming year. So we're actually going to be the template for other villages in coming years, and so they're starting to already ask if they can be chosen, so it's kind of exciting because it means word's getting out throughout the state, so thank you.
Great, congratulations. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Turned into a great meeting here. Not that they're not all. Okay, superintendent's report, please.
A couple items in my report. One is that on April 7th, Community and School District 201 will have a referendum question on the ballot. The question is asking for permission to issue $19.7 million in bonds to address the safety, security, and ADA compliance issues at Manning, Miller, Westmont Junior High, and Westmont High School. And we'll have a series of informational meetings coming up. One is tomorrow night, March 11th at 7 o'clock p.m. at Westmont High School in the Commons. And in addition to information that will be presented, building tour will be conducted as well. And then on March 18th, both at Manning and at Miller, starting at 7 o'clock p.m., again, will be building tours and informational meetings. And I did receive a couple questions about, if somebody wants to attend both. And so we will get additional information out, but we will, be present in the building so that if you wanted to attend the informational meeting at one building and a tour, you'd be able to then go to the next building and have a tour of that building as well. And then one other update, for a very good reason, our 8th grade junior high boys basketball team played for the conference tournament championship last night. And originally, we had a junior high PTO meeting scheduled, and we were going to have an informational presentation at the PTO meeting. But in order to allow parents to attend the game, which, by the way, John, do you know how many students attended the game?
We had approximately 135 students.
So 135 students.
And it was far.
Yeah.
It was far away.
Yeah.
So very quickly turned an away event into a home event, essentially, which really was a credit to our junior high and to the students. But as a result, that meeting has been changed to the 16th, so next Monday. And so, again, there will be a PTO meeting, but that also referendum information will be shared at that time as well. Then the other conversation the board had was regarding the 8th grade graduation. And I did have conversations with Mr. Jonek. And just to confirm, all the information that had gone out to date was letting parents know that the date was tentative, that the board would be looking at the number of emergency days. And John and I did have a conversation, and he says he can't see any reason why June 1st would be problematic, that if the consensus of the board was to move the 8th grade graduation, that the junior high could accommodate it on June 1st.
So that gives us the couple extra instructional days that we were talking about.
I think that sounds great.
That's a Monday,
I would
right?
say yes.
It accomplishes what we had
Yeah,
talked about
I would
last
definitely be
year,
in favor of that.
and it's in enough time to let the families know, right, Mr. Jonas?
Has there been any feedback? I mean, have you talked to any parents in regards to this at all? No?
No, I haven't.
Okay.
We were waiting to get the diplomas dated until the decision was made later this week.
Okay.
Okay.
And then one last item, because at our last board meeting, we had public comment regarding PLCs.
Is that okay with everybody?
Yeah, is that?
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yes.
Feedback
Okay, just-
enough for
It
a
seemed like it
decision?
was.
So
All right.
is June 1st okay with everybody?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, no problem. But again, at our last board meeting, we had
I'm sorry.
public.
And we're not changing the high school graduation?
Correct.
Okay, just so that if people were thinking we were talking about both.
Right.
Okay, I won't interrupt you anymore.
All right, no problem. But we have public comment regarding PLCs. And similar to this evening, when we have public comment, the board listens to the comment, but really doesn't address the speaker or respond to questions. But we are planning at our next board meeting, March 24th, to do a PLC update. And so hopefully if, again, any parents would like to, they can either view the information or come to the board meeting, but we will provide an update on March 24th.
I might make a quick comment on that also. I do want to point out that there's an opportunity at the tail end of the meeting for some comment also. So recognizing that some people might want to voice some opinions in advance, it would be good for people to know that after the presentation, there will still be an opportunity to comment. So if they want to wait to comment until after the information's been received, that's a possibility.
Correct.
Thank you, Matt. Okay, Kevin, do you have anything else?
No, that's it.
Okay, are there any board reports?
I just wanted to piggyback on something Kevin just said. Just congratulations to the 8th grade boys. I know it was an unbelievable season, right? They were 12-0 or something like that in the regular season, and probably one of the best teams we've ever had. So congratulations to all those young men. Great season.
Anything else?
And congratulations to the Fine Arts Department for the spring musical. It was a wonderful performance, and I think it had a lot of good humor in it, and it was pretty well attended, so very good. Thank you.
Okay, then, just to reiterate some of the things that Kevin shared. So Wednesday, March 11th, is the referendum informational meeting and building tour at the high school, March 11th, 7 o'clock. March 12th is the high school band and choral concert at 7 o'clock at the high school. There'll be on Monday, the 16th, March 16th, will be the rescheduled PTO meeting. Is that 7 o'clock PTO meeting? 7 o'clock, junior high PTO meeting, as well as referendum informational meeting. Then on March 18th, there'll be a referendum informational meeting and building tour, one at Manning and one at Miller, both starting at 7. But to reiterate what Mr. Carey said, there will be people there if people want to see both buildings. March 19th, parent-teacher conferences are from 5 to 9 in the evening, and there will be an early dismissal day for the students. March 20th is a non-attendance day. That is also parent-teacher conferences from 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. March 23rd is a STEM night at the Westmont Junior High at 6:30. And then the next school board meeting is March 24th, 7 o'clock here at Westmont Village Hall. Okay, the chair will entertain a motion to enter closed session for the purpose of discussing collective bargaining, personnel issues, student discipline, and probable litigation.
So moved. Second?
Roll call?
Mrs. Hancock?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Price?
Yes.
Mr. Armstrong?
Yes.
Ms. Caparelli?
Yes.
Mrs. Charlton?
Yes. There will not be a vote afterwards. Thank you.